Here's the plan. We will go through 10 prompts you can use at every stage of your graduate job hunt journey. You're not getting ahead just because you already use AI. That's the bare minimum. You will use it strategically. Let them use ChatGPT, but with these prompts, you will use ChatGPT. We will go from job and role search into specific company research and networking, followed by application and CV tailoring, and finally finishing with some interview prep. Let's start with finding you a set of suitable jobs. If you're just randomly applying to all graduate jobs, you're wasting time, as you're probably not even competitive for a good chunk of them. So let's come up with a list of jobs that actually make sense for you. You will tell whichever AI you're using to act as a UK career advisor, give it your CV, and specify a couple of non-negotiables, like location or pay or type of work you would like to do. This information on its own will not be enough though, because if you just say, I want a well-paid job in London, it will spit out consulting, banking, marketing, and you will learn nothing. That's why you make it ask you further questions first. We want to narrow the problem space to the point where the list of suggestions is actually useful and relevant to you. These questions also force you to articulate things you've probably been hand-waving so far. Okay, you've answered your 5 questions. That's when the second part of the prompt kicks in, as shown on the screen now. As your final output, you will get a short list of best fit roles and industries, as well as a list of the UK companies that actually hire graduates into those roles. Copy the company names into a spreadsheet and start researching whether these actually look like a good fit for you. If not, continue the conversation with the AI and explain why these companies don't work. And if yes, let's move on to the next stage. Prompt number 2 is a reality check of your competitiveness as a candidate. In a separate chat, I want you to specify the industry or the role you're targeting, and I want you to give it an example of a graduate job description in that area. We are asking for 4 things with this prompt. Number 1, the skills employers currently expect to see for such graduate roles. Number 2 are examples of extracurriculars or experience that will make someone stand out and act as solid proof that you have those skills. Number 3 are the soft skills and traits that tend to be valued for such graduate roles. Although these are more difficult to demonstrate in your CV, it's good to have a heads up for interviews and assessment centers later down the line. And finally, number 4 are any certifications or training you could quickly get to stand out even further. In most cases, there shouldn't be that many for graduate jobs because, they're entry level. So this prompt gives you a realistic view into what skill set is rewarded, and that forces you to see whether you actually measure up to that profile. If you see any skill gaps, it also gives you several suggestions on how to develop them. Recruiters don't usually look for a particular experience. They look for evidence of a well-developed skill. Where that skill was developed is not as relevant. If you're still in early stages of your degree, this gives you a game plan. And if you're about to graduate, it tells you what to emphasize and what to drop. What I like about this prompt is that it gives you an action plan without any bias. Since you're not giving it any information about you, it will not try to suck up to you and tell you that you are the perfect fit. It will give you cold, hard facts about what this job needs. So now we're diving into the specifics. Company research. The depth of your research here directly corresponds with the quality of your applications and interview responses, so this step is absolutely crucial. Most students do the absolute bare minimum when it comes to company research. They Google a few news stories, read through the About Us page and the company's career blog. After that, they call it a day. But not you. You are not basic. This third prompt is a warm-up before prompt number 4 brings in the big guns. Here, you ask for an overview of the company, a good primer. Products, company structure, financials, strategy, recent news, competitors, and of course, a SWOT analysis. Side note, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Loved by consultants, MBAs, and A-level business studies teachers alike. The output will give you a comprehensive summary on what the company is all about. These are basic things you should know, and this is the baseline knowledge expectation for interviews. But since we are not basic, we are going to go further. Most big graduate recruiters have this little thing called the annual report, and this is a treasure trove of information, insights, and judgments. Other things that are helpful are half-year reports or investor presentations. You can usually find these by either Googling company name annual report or going on their website. It's usually under investors section. As an example, you see me getting the Diageo annual report on the screen now. You go into investors. This is where you will see the latest documents Diageo used to update the market on their performance. Scroll all the way down to find the link to the annual report. Again, we want to download the full PDF, so we scroll past all of the highlights to get to the list of documents. And voila, annual report. Download it and let's get on with the prompt. With the fourth prompt, you will essentially use AI to read through this whole document to give you the latest information on its business model, strategic priorities, challenges, and so on. This will be an excellent and detailed start to you thinking about your answers to why this company and why this role. Note that I specifically included a page reference requirement in the prompt. Don't take the output as gospel. Pick out a few points you want to read about and use page references to actually read it in the company's own words. This also helps hedge against any AI hallucinations. Before we get into the next stage, I made a PDF with all prompts mentioned in this video and a few extra ones that you can download using the link in the description. And as always, you can ask me any specific career questions in the comments because I read and reply to them all. So boom, company researched. Or is it? Well, no, we're going even deeper. To really stand out, you want to speak to real people in that company. Nothing would reassure the recruiter that you're serious about their company more than you saying you went the extra mile in your research. This is when networking comes in. I have a whole video on networking. I recommend you watch after this. Link is in the description, but don't click off here as I have some AI prompts for that too. So you have the company and the role in mind, and now you're trying to find people currently in that role to ask them a few questions about the day-to-day, the company culture, and maybe even some tips for your application. Unfortunately, you don't know anyone. This is where you might want to do a few cold reach outs on LinkedIn. The success rate for responses might be as low as 10 to 20%, but that's normal. Send 10 of these and hopefully you will line up one coffee chat or a Zoom call. To increase your chances of success at getting responses, I recommend tailoring the outreach message to each person and rooting it in one or two things you have in common. It could be the same degree, same university, same extracurricular. So the fifth prompt asks for a friendly professional message grounded in the real reason for reaching out. And do a quick test of your AI output. If you could swap the name and the company and the message would still work, it's too generic. Remember, AI is good at structure, but you are the one responsible for sincerity. Once the message passes the test, you refine it to sound like you and send it to your chosen person on LinkedIn as a connection request. Don't ever just send a connection request, always send it with a note. And once you have a response, bingo, we can ask them questions to help us on our graduate job hunt journey. If you already narrowed down the role, you can ask about that, but if you're still exploring, you can ask them what they like about their job. The thing is, these professionals are busy people, and usually they will give you 15 to 20 minutes maximum of their time. So we need to be smart with the limited time we have with them and choose 2, maybe 3 questions to ask at most. So the sixth prompt will help you with brainstorming some of these questions to ask. You can ask it to suggest questions that help you build a genuine connection and learn the information that will help you improve your candidate profile or stand out as a candidate. If you've ever been asked, "So what advice would you give me?" out of the blue, you know how disarming that feels. AI is useful here because it helps you generate specific, grounded questions instead of vague ones. But you still need to sanity check them. If a question feels unnatural when you say it out loud, drop it. You're not trying to sound impressive. You are trying to sound like a real person who is curious. And with that, we're now ready to apply. The seventh prompt here asks the AI to act like a UK graduate recruitment advisor. You will give it your CV and the job description. First, it will summarize what the employer is actually looking for. So in other words, what skills and experiences you need to highlight. Pretty standard stuff, right? But we both know nobody is perfect, so you will likely have some gaps when it comes to job requirements. There is no such thing as a perfect candidate, so the prompt also looks at your weaknesses. For each one, it will suggest whether it should be addressed directly, like maybe in a cover letter, reframed, or not mentioned at all. It will also explain why. This mirrors how applications are actually read. Not every weakness matters, and some only become a problem if you bring their attention to it. So, say you are an international student and you require work visa sponsorship. If the job description already stated that they would sponsor the right candidate, there is absolutely no need to mention that, apart from the application itself. If they were on the fence about giving you an interview, mentioning sponsorship might inadvertently draw their attention to the fact that you will cost just a bit extra to hire. AI won't always get this judgment call right, but it forces you to think like the person reviewing your application, not the person who is emotionally attached to it. The most important thing to tailor comes next. It's your CV. And if you found this video helpful so far, drop it a like so it helps other students. So, CVs really stand between you and that interview invite, right? Well, yes and no. You can be the perfect fit for the job, but if your CV is terribly written or formatted, it's unlikely a human would ever see it. That's because most CVs these days go through the ATS. And that's why the 8th prompt asks for keywords to optimize for ATS to help you rank higher. It basically ensures coherence of your CV versus the job description. Make sure you use it in moderation, otherwise you will end up sounding robotic. Recruiters sometimes search applications by keywords, and of course you want to make sure that you pop up as a result. You might have heard of SEO, but I am now coining CVSO, CV Search Optimization. The real value is using this as a translation check. Are you speaking the same language as the job description, or are you using academic or internal university phrasing that never shows up in hiring conversations? Next up is the 9th and shortest prompt. Make this bullet point more concise. If you can't fit your bullet into 2 lines of text, you need to fix that. We need to get rid of any fluff so it's easier to read, takes less space, and gets to the point quicker. Most CVs fail because they are vague and long, not because the candidate lacks ability. AI is very good at tightening language, so use it as an editor. You still decide what to say. I have a whole video on recruiter psychology when reading CVs. Link is in the description. Okay, we're almost there. All we have left is interview prep. Probably the most important part. Interview prep is simply about practice, 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 and then some more practice. You need to make sure that you have stories and examples prepared for the majority of questions. The more you work on this, the easier it becomes to prepare for future interviews at different companies. And yes, you need to respond out loud. Feeling fluent in your head means nothing. Don't believe me? Try recording yourself giving an answer or two and check how you sound in reality. You will see the difference. So use the 10th prompt to generate a variety of questions you might get asked. Motivation, competency, strengths, weaknesses, scenarios, knowledge. You ask it to reference your CV. You jot some bullets down as your talking points. And then, if you can, use the voice AI functionality to carry out mock interviews. See how you fare. You can also ask the AI to roleplay as a recruiter and challenge your answers. It's uncomfortable to do, but it will level up your interviewing skills. AI will give you volume and pressure, but talking to another human will add some realism and more nuanced feedback. So grab a friend and give each other mock interviews. You will learn and become confident much quicker if you use both. And your next action is simple. You should subscribe for more career advice and watch this video next. Keep going, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!